Hey, martial arts fans. Welcome to Beauticast, the podcast that brings you the latest news from the world of martial arts. We're here to discuss what's happening in the dojo, the ring, and beyond. From competition results to new training techniques, we've got you covered. And we want to hear from you. If you have any martial arts news to share, a story to tell, or a question you'd like us to answer, send us an email at hello@beauticast.com. Now, let's get into the news.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really getting into it and stepping right into the middle of the combat sports world. We want to look beyond just, the knockouts and the headlines. Find the strategy, the sheer discipline, and maybe some surprising ways these sports ripple out socially.
Yeah, exactly. So our goal here is to kind of synthesize a whole bunch of recent stuff we've seen. We've got sources covering those big UFC rivalries, a really historic achievement in judo for amateurs, and then, how jiu-jitsu is being used in some really different ways in communities.
Right. And just so you know how we're tackling this, we've broken it down. We'll start with the big pro drama, the UFC stuff.
Yep, the money fights.
Then we'll shift to look at the incredible planning behind a world #1 ranking. Super structured.
That's the judo story.
Exactly. And then we'll finish up by looking at how grappling, specifically BJJ, is showing up as like a community tool, even for conflict resolution. Pretty interesting spread. Okay, so let's jump in right at the top. UFC 320, we've got this rematch coming up. Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira for the light heavyweight title. It feels tense.
Oh, definitely. And what's interesting, right, is the dynamic. Pereira, he's the veteran, 38 years old, 12-3 record, but he's the challenger.
Right. He's trying to get that belt back from Ankalaev, who's 21-1-1.
Exactly. And the sources we looked at definitely point to a bit of bad blood. Remember Ankalaev said Pereira didn't want to fight him before?
Yeah, I remember that. That adds a little something, doesn't it?
It does. Makes it a bit spicier, like the report said.
But it sounds like Pereira, even with this huge fight ahead, he's already, thinking strategically about what's next. Calculated.
Yeah, it seems that way. He's not overlooking Ankalaev, obviously, but he did single out Carlos Ulberg.
Ah, the guy who just had that massive first-round knockout.
That's the one. Pereira basically said, if I win this belt back, Ulberg could be first up. He sort of implied, look, I've fought pretty much everyone else at the top already.
Okay, that makes sense. Planning ahead. That idea of managing perception, the spectacle, leads us right into the Conor McGregor situation, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The biggest name, the biggest spectacle manager, maybe ever. He's out there claiming his return fight, supposedly against Michael Chandler, is completely locked in, done deal, signed, delivered, I think was the quote.
Right. And the timing he mentioned.
Yeah.
End of June.
End of June, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's tying it all into America's 250th birthday, the week before July 4th. Very on brand.
Vintage McGregor branding. And then there's the money claim. Negotiating $100 billion from the U.S. government. That sounds like McGregor.
Uh-huh. And this is where we really need to pump the brakes a bit based on the sources. They strongly warn, take it with a massive grain of salt.
Right. Because he's announced returns before that. Didn't happen.
Exactly. Delays, setbacks. It's happened multiple times. The source material literally says he cannot be trusted at his word alone. And get this. If this June fight actually happens, it will be almost 5 full years since he last fought.
Wow. Almost 5 years. That context changes everything, doesn't it? Yeah. That's a huge layoff in any sport, let alone MMA at the highest level.
It's massive. Is the branding just a distraction from that physical reality? That's the big question.
So is he just trying to hype his way past the physical challenge?
Well, you can argue that. I mean, his argument seems to be that he is the justification. He points to being the biggest draw, the highest earner, mentions the UFC's massive $7.7 billion deal with Paramount. He's saying his commercial value outweighs the ring rust.
So he's betting his past financial power against his current fighting ability. That 5-year gap. That's the elephant in the room for this whole thing.
Definitely. It's the huge unknown.
Okay, so let's pivot now. Moving away from that kind of unpredictable high finance world of the UFC, let's look at something built on pure structure and discipline. A totally different kind of success story.
Right, shifting to amateur sports, specifically judo.
Yeah, this amazing story about Himanshi Tokas. She's only 20. And she's just become the first Indian athlete ever to hit junior world #1 in judo in the women's under 63 kilo category.
It's just incredible, a historic achievement. And what really jumps out from the reporting is the planning. This wasn't an accident.
No, not at all. It was like a 2-year strategic plan. She aimed for the top 10 last year.
Which she hit, right. Got to number 6.
Yeah, she did. And then this past season was all structured around hitting number 1, planning which championships to win, needing an Asian championship medal.
And she just executed it. Won the Casablanca Junior African Cup, then the African Open there too, the Taipei Junior Asian Cup, and the Asian Junior Championships. She literally mapped out the points she needed and went and got them.
Systematically climbed the rankings. But, the plan doesn't mean it was easy. There's this detail in the source material that really stuck with me.
What was that?
She knew she needed better competition than she could get at home, so she had to train constantly overseas. Japan, France, Germany.
Right, that makes sense. Go where the best are.
Yeah, but listen to this. She said in her first international camp, she was getting thrown twice a minute for a whole month.
Wow. Twice a minute?
Mm-hmm.
For a month? Just think about the mental side of that. Getting physically dominated like that, day after day, the grind.
Exactly. How do you even keep going? It takes unbelievable resilience, way beyond just the physical.
For sure. And the reports mention she deals with constant injuries too, right? Dislocations, knee, shoulder, elbow.
Yeah, all that. But she maintains, apparently, 100% mental focus, uses a psychologist, breathing techniques, self-talk, all the tools.
It sounds like the big turning point, the key takeaway really, was a shift in mindset. She talked about how the old thinking for Indian athletes was often get a medal, get a job.
Right, linking it directly to, future security.
But she changed that. Her focus became purely about the competition itself, the process. Quote, "We always speak about the game, look at things positively. Where, when, how to get medals. It wasn't about the job anymore. It was about mastering the game."
That shift from outcome to process. That feels crucial for any high-level pursuit, doesn't it? That discipline.
Absolutely. And that idea of discipline, process, applying a physical art, it actually connects really well to our next segment.
Okay, yeah. Let's take that focus now and see how grappling arts, specifically Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, are being used out in the community, sometimes for minimizing violence, sometimes for, other things.
Yeah, we found 2 really fascinating examples of BJJ gyms involved in community work. And what's striking is how different their approaches are. Almost polar opposites in terms of their civic engagement, but both using BJJ.
Interesting. Okay, where do we start?
Let's start in Kansas, Great Bend, Kansas, a gym called November Tango BJJ. The instructor there, Nick Taylor, he's doing something pretty cool.
What's that?
Offering free BJJ classes for the rest of the year to all first responders. And that includes police, fire, EMS, but also medical staff and even corrections officers.
Wow, free classes for all those groups. Why BJJ specifically for them?
Well, Taylor points out its utility. BJJ is all about grappling, right? Leverage, control, no striking. So it's really effective for, say, a smaller person needing to control a larger resisting person without necessarily hurting them badly.
Okay, so less about punching and kicking, more about controlling the situation.
Exactly. And Taylor directly connects it to de-escalation. He says BJJ can help eliminate excessive use of force. It gives responders tools to control someone using the minimum force required. It's about managing conflict physically, not just escalating it.
That makes a lot of sense for those professions. Is it hard to get started? Do you need to be super fit?
That's another key point Taylor makes. He stresses there's no entry-level fitness barrier. Classes are open to everyone, whatever shape they're in. His logic is simple. The only way to get in shape for grappling is by grappling.
Just show up and start learning. I like that.
Yeah, very welcoming approach.
Okay, so that's Kansas.
Yeah.
You said the other example was almost the opposite.
Yeah, let's shift gears completely now. Washington, D.C., a gym called Highstyle Jiu Jitsu, also known as the Hyena Clan.
The Hyena Clan. Yeah.
Their community focus is very different. It's deeply, explicitly political. The founder, Benjamin Lagos, he's very open about pushing back against the, quote, macho element he sees in jiu-jitsu sometimes.
Okay, so creating a different kind of space.
Exactly. An unintimidated, unharnessed space, as he put it. And he was really clear, said he couldn't run a business that was apolitical.
So how does that political stance play out in the gym's activities?
Well, in very direct ways. For example, they hosted a training seminar specifically to raise money for aid to Gaza.
Okay.
And they also, according to the source, make explicit efforts to keep certain law enforcement off the mats. So a very different approach to engaging with official groups compared to the Kansas gym.
Wow, yeah. That is a sharp contrast. inviting first responders in Kansas, keeping some law enforcement out in D.C.
Right. They also actively build specific communities within the gym. They have a queer fight club run by an MMA fighter, Sabrina Brown. It's described as part escape, part self-defense training, part social space. It's about curating who is in the community.
So a very deliberately shaped social and political environment. But does the actual jiu-jitsu, the grappling itself, still teach similar things?
That's the interesting part. Lagos himself emphasizes that, yes, the sport still teaches fundamental life skills. Things like problem solving, working that conflict out, talking it out, coming to an agreement, respecting folks' boundaries. Those core lessons seem to persist regardless of the gym's specific politics.
So the mat is still a place to learn how to navigate conflict, even if the gym's external stance is highly political.
Seems that way. Whether it's physical grappling or, societal disagreements, the skills might overlap more than we think.
Okay, so let's try and pull this all together. We've covered a lot of ground.
We really have. We went from, the big money, high stakes, legacy concerns in the UFC with Pereira and McGregor.
Right, the professional pinnacle.
Then shifted to the incredible structured discipline of Himanshi Tokas in judo, that 2-year plan to become world #1 as a junior.
Amazing focus there.
And then we landed on BJJ. Seeing it used as a practical tool maybe to help first responders use less force in Kansas, or to build a very specific, politically active community space in D.C.
It really shows that these physical arts, these disciplines, they offer really powerful frameworks for structured learning, for control, whether your goal is a world title or just handling a difficult situation better.
The body learns, the mind strategizes.
Yeah. And maybe the most interesting thing to leave you, the listener, thinking about is that contrast between those two BJJ gyms we just discussed.
The Kansas gym bringing first responders in specifically to teach nonviolent control.
And the DC gym, the Hyena clan, creating this strongly political space that intentionally keeps certain law enforcement out.
What does that difference tell us? What does it suggest about how combat sports are fitting into, or maybe even shaping, our local, social, and, civic lives right now?
It really makes you wonder how these very physical ways of grappling connect to the broader societal grappling with conflict, politics, and community that's happening all around us. Definitely something to mull over.
That's it for this episode. Thanks for joining us to talk about the latest in martial arts. We'll be back with another round of news, stories, and insights. Until then, remember to train hard and stay humble. And don't forget, if you have any news you'd like to share, you can always reach us at hello@budacast.com. Now go practice your forms.